Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for returning, guys. And for those of you who've not been here before, welcome. Thanks for joining me. Really quick video about something that is concerning me. Actually, is it concerning me? Or yeah, it is a bit. So blood tests, right? I don't know how many of you can relate to what I'm about to say, but if you can, please share it in the comments and so on, right? So blood tests, right? I feel like why do I feel like I'm being pressured or being, not even, I wouldn't go as far as to say I'm feeling hounded, but I'm feeling like I'm being pressured to take a blood test. Now, let me just sort of clear up a few things. I get regular blood tests, and yeah, so it's not as if I've not had a blood test for a long time, and it's not as if, you know, right? And so that's not the issue, right? It's just apparently kind of routine, yearly, come and get your annual blood test type thing, right? Well, I missed that, and then I missed that date to come and get my blood test, and I keep getting messages to come and get my blood test, and, you know, even a phone call, you know. I'm just wondering why. I've never experienced that much pressure in my lifetime to get a blood test, right? Especially when there's nothing wrong, and I claim that there's nothing wrong. I get blood tests every year, but this year there just seems to be I'm picking up on a bit of they're just a bit too eager. So I'm not sure what that is, where it's coming from, or whatever, but it has led me to briefly look at the blood transfusion service, right? Look at their website, the Sickle Cell Society website, all blood related, all things blood related. And I found this article, and I'll state where it is. The blood transfusion service. There's a very brief article on there, but essentially what it says is that Afro-Caribbean blood is very special. And I urge you to Google, why is Afro-Caribbean blood specifically very special, right? And I thought to myself, right, okay, so if our blood is special, and it does kind of gear towards, you know, it's important that we become blood donors, and it's important that we donate blood to help sickle cell patients and so on, and that's great, you know, by all means, you know, we should do that, right? And it's important to have our blood, you know, in blood banks, don't get me wrong. But if you've got special blood, right, which is apparently what we have, and many of us don't know, I didn't know until I looked at that website that my blood was special, right? I know my melanin is very special, but which should make my blood special anyway. But anyway, that's another subject. But to see that written down, that Afro-Caribbean people specifically have special blood. So as I looked a bit deeper down the rabbit hole, essentially what it's saying is that our blood is vital for the health of England as a whole. right? It's obviously very important, right? Now, I'm not a doctor or a medical professional or scientist or any of that, so it will always be layman terms as far as I'm concerned. I know nothing about these things, but my spirit led me to just have a look, and that's what I found, and I thought that was very interesting. We're walking around, not knowing how important and special we are, not just to ourselves and to our family, but to everyone. We are absolutely valuable. We are, I mean, most of us already know how valuable our melanin is, you know. They've even put a price on it, so we need to kind of remember all of this and know there's certain things that we're walking around not knowing, and I just think we need to know. We need to know that we are, some of that hate that we get in the form of racism and these prejudices are really not valid. There's no justification for any of that hate, because we are supreme. We are life itself. Melanin is another rabbit hole. Melanin is I'd love to kind of talk about melanin, but it's so complex. But what I would say is, again, do your own research. Dr. Carol Barnes is who I'm looking at the moment, who talks about our melanin. He's been interviewed, and he drops some real gems about what melanin is. And, I mean, at the end of the day, he's a doctor, he's a scientist. So some of what he's saying is difficult to comprehend, but you'll get the drift, right? Melanin is not just about your skin color. It's life itself. Without it, you wouldn't be here. And lacking melanin is not a good thing for your physical health, for your mental health, for everything. So why are we receiving so much hate? Why are we receiving so much hate when that knowledge is out there about who we are and what we are and why the hate? Why the world depends on black people in more ways than one. In melanated people, sorry, I stand corrected. So I'll never understand where that hate comes from. But yeah, very thought-provoking subject today. So our blood is special. Our melanin is extremely special. Yet we're not treated very special. So yeah, that blood test, I'm kind of refusing to kind of engage at the moment. And why is that? Because I'm realizing that my blood is special and I'm special. And when someone wants to extract blood from me, there are many good reasons to do that. Not only for my own health, but for the well-being of others who may need blood. Don't get me wrong. But there is another side of that. there are questions now around when you take a blood test, you fill up the syringe, you fill it up, and then you use a scraping of it on the to test it. You don't use much of that blood, and I believe you store the rest, right? And that's fine. Again, that's fine. This is about the well-being of yourself and others. If something happens, you want to know, and you need a blood transfusion, you want to know that blood is there for you and for everyone else. But I just think that if you're donating blood, you should consent to that. I don't think you should be storing my blood without my consent. If that is happening, it may not be happening. Anyone who knows more, but I'm just a bit concerned about that. Are you storing Afro-Caribbean, very special blood without their consent or knowledge? But and it doesn't necessarily change things in terms of access to our blood, because there will always be a percentage of people who are willing to donate and happy for you to do whatever you want with their blood. But there'll also be a percentage that don't want that, and should have the ability to say no about that. So just interesting stuff kind of going through my head at the moment with our melanin and our blood, and realizing the power that we have and how important we are, and moving in that power. We shouldn't be feeling like less than, we shouldn't be treated as less than, because we're not. There shouldn't be any such thing as white supremacy, because that makes no sense. If you're carrying recessive genes, how can you claim to be supreme? It's just an interesting, thought-provoking subject I'm bringing forward today, because those of us who are melanated, supreme, divine beings are not walking around as if we are. So it's just a few thought-provoking things I thought I'd bring today, But as I said, this is what I do when I drive. I just go into a deep thinking mode, and I'm sharing that with you guys, right? And I hope you enjoy it. I hope there's some benefit you get from it. I don't always have answers. I tend to have more questions than answers, and then I go and look for answers. But yeah, I just like sharing that, guys. So anything you can add, do so. Yeah, and again, I'll continue with looking at Dr. Carol Barnes' interview about melanin. Very deep stuff, something that you have to, because he can't help himself. He's speaking in very scientific medical terms. He's trying his best to kind of make it easy for dummies like me, but so it definitely requires several rewinds and to really catch what he's saying. One thing I will say that I got from it that was interesting was that melanin almost acts on its own. It doesn't need any prompting from the brain, for example. It reacts itself. In other words, if you got a cut on your hand, on your arm, and there's a bruise, that suddenly all the melanin rushes to that area to heal it. It recognizes on its, it doesn't wait for the brain to tell it to go there. It knows, and it rushes, and that's why sometimes you'll get that sort of black. It'll become really black and not bruised, but yeah, maybe bruising as a part of it. But you'll get like a black area. It gets really dark in that area. That's because melanin is accumulating in that area to heal. It's attacking the wound to heal the wound and heal it quicker. So it works off of its own motivation, right? It pacifies, you know. So there might be you know, some poison, you know, something that the body doesn't like, and melanin will run to that area and try to, it doesn't just absorb it, it pacifies it, and then it absorbs the foreign thing, poison, and it pacifies and absorbs it so much so that the poison becomes melanin. So it rushes to the area, pacifies the enemy, absorbs the enemy until the enemy becomes melanin itself, until there's no sign of this enemy anymore, only melanin. It's just amazing what's going on in our bodies. But yet externally, from melanin deficient or non-melanated people, you've got all this hate, aggressiveness, you know, and it makes no sense really, biologically. So I think it's really important that we know, more than ever before, that we know who we are biologically, spiritually, you know, in every way. We need to know who we are. Alright guys, I'll leave it there. Alright, hope you enjoyed that. I did say it would be a short one. Take care guys, I'll see you soon. Bye.